All right, good people. It is so good to see everybody. Um, let's just check in and see how we've been doing. We've been having these calls pretty much since March. I think we had the first call right away in March. I looked up the list of the top cities that had been represented at that point for the race. And, off the top of my head, looking around the room here, Maryland, Baltimore, that's the same. Baltimore, Little Rock, New York, Chicago, Houston, of course, Atlanta, were some of the cities, Raleigh-Durham area, some of the cities that have been just supporting the race exponentially since its inception. And just wanted to get everybody together at that time and just check in, see how we were doing. And we've been able to check in with each other every month pretty much since March. And here we are a week before our beloved race. And let's just tell the people a little bit about, how we've been running through 2020 and how we're going to continue to strive to get to the other side of this pandemic. So we'll start with introductions, and I'll kind of call you out so we don't talk over each other. I'll start. My name is Tess Sobelmehan Marshall. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a race director as well as a running community leader. I lead a couple of groups here in the Metro Atlanta area under the Running Nerds banner, and just a lover of run groups, community, and of course, a very, very proud director of the race and one of the founding partners of the race. All right, I'll shoot it over to Brenda.
Hello, I'm Brenda Stallings. I'm the Facebook admin for the National Black Marathoners Association, and of course, an avid runner here in Little Rock, Arkansas 501, and a promoter of the Little Rock Marathon. So, yeah.
Devon.
Hey, my name is Devon Cully. I'm one of the co-founders of the Black Runners Connection Facebook group, and along with James Ravenel, who cannot be here today. I'm born and raised in New York City, and just like everybody else here, just enjoy getting our run on, and we will continue running until we can't run anymore.
All right, MLT.
Yeah, MLT. Black Men Run Raleigh-Durham, also a loose collective of individuals in North and South Carolina, Black Distance Runners of the Carolinas, and we're still running. We haven't stopped. Group runs here and there, social distance, and just ready for races to start back.
Right, good to see you. All right, Valencia.
I am Valencia Hike. I am the president of the Baltimore Roadrunners Club. I'm also the ambassador for Black Girls Run for Baltimore, and I also run with Wyatt Squad, and we're still running and growing. Some of the groups are getting bigger than others, some running more than others, but we're still out here.
All right. And my colleague across 285. Actually, I don't know where you live, April, but April.
April Moore, and I am an ambassador here in Atlanta for Black Girls Run. We are out running, still trying to, get our feet wet. There's some groups that are started back up, some folks that are, still a little iffy about getting back on the pavement with other people. So they kind of, just went out on their own. But we're still out here running and trying to enjoy life as much as we can. Just keep it pushing.
All right. And Jatola.
Hi, I'm Jatola Anderson Blair, and I'm in Houston, and I am the admin for the Crimson Team Facebook group. And in Houston, we're running, but again, maintaining social distancing. There's some areas that are really crowded, so I tend to avoid those. For the Boston virtual, we ran in one of those places, and it just made me a little anxious that there were so many people around. But, we're running and just trying to stay safe.
Awesome. And Jatola, for those who might not know, please tell us a little more detail about what the Crimson Team is.
So the Crimson Team, it's basically about 1,500 Deltas who run.
Awesome.
And they're all over the world.
All right, Isa.
Oh, family. Issa Olufemi, founder of the Black Running Organization. We represent for Black runners in Baltimore. We're excited about the race. The race is the only medal receiving race that we are concerned about. And we feel like Black runners don't have a choice but to celebrate the race. So we're going to represent that and push the race until every Black runner is there. Let's go.
And last but not least, Curtis.
Hey everybody, Curtis John. I'm the club manager for Black Men Run New York City, even though I'm currently in Columbia, South Carolina, but still definitely representing. And, you know, we always run. BMR New York City has never stopped running throughout this entire thing. And we just keep pushing it, you know, random 10-milers, half marathons, just throwing up here and there because, you know, we just love this whole thing and the community that we created and you all helped create along with us. So just excited about the race and looking forward to catching up with everybody.
All right. Thank you all so much. And of course, you know, this is a phenomenal representation of our leadership in the Black running community, but certainly not a complete representation. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, we have received a tremendous amount of support from Black runners all over the world, particularly the US, and we're continuing to grow globally. I actually had a chance to have a great conversation with the ladies from the Startup Podcast, and Issa, thank you for that referral, partially for that. Those ladies are over in the UK, and they're committed to spreading the word to runners in the European running circuit, particularly in the UK, and I'm just excited to continue to grow the mission and purpose and vibe of the race globally. But it started here in Atlanta, quickly grew to a national profile, and you all represent the groups, the cities, the organizations, the like I said, the leadership that help grow that word exponentially. And as I've said many times, anytime I talk about the race, one statement that you will consistently hear me make is that the race is only successful if it is massively supported by the Black running community. You know, we definitely are welcoming to any and all runners that want to participate in our beautiful race, but if we aren't maintaining that 80 to 90% African American participation, I feel we're doing our race a disservice. So this race is a race for us, by us, unapologetically catered to us, but again, welcoming to anyone that chooses to participate and get that Black excellence experience. So I thank each of these leaders and your organizations and your cities and your run crews for, you know, jumping on that bandwagon and helping us to just grow this race. This is our race. One thing I hate people to say is your race. They call it Tessa's race, or this is not my race, y'all. This race is, I'm just the one that gets to answer all the emails. So if y'all want to share some of that load, let me know. But this is our race, and I'm just so happy and so proud of our community for keeping the race going in 2020. It could have been easy for us to just say, hey, you know what? It's not going to happen this year. Let's just move everything to 2021. First of all, I don't think anybody would have had that. I probably would have got more negative press and messages if that would have been a decision. But you guys have made it extremely worthwhile to put on the very best. And we're claiming this is going to be the best virtual race experience in the entire nation. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about how have things been going in your respective cities. We talk about this a little bit every month, but if everyone could just talk from kind of March all the way to today, a general synopsis of how your runners and your community have progressed through this time. So we make sure we stay brief on the comments, y'all, but just give us a general sense of how your runners and your community have progressed through this time. And I'll start kind of from the back. Curtis, if you want to speak on the community you're currently in, or on BMR New York, let us know kind of your take on that.
Yeah, I'll speak for New York, really, because the running community down here in Columbia is a little scattered, you know. So in New York, I mean, it's actually been obviously the pandemic has hurt everybody, but you know, between that and the uprisings and such, uh, and people's kind of like sudden back into wokeness and such, you know, and wanted to represent themselves as being black. Now that's a little more popular too, even though some of that has fallen off. But we've had a lot of increased not only visibility around us, but just people being wanting to run with Black Men Run NYC. So in that way, it's been really good for us, considering everything that's been going on. So we've had, you know, increased amount of new brothers coming out and running with us. And then of course, you know, since people have been home, they've, you know, been more enthused to actually run in their neighborhoods and then want to run in with others in their neighborhoods. And so with some of the restrictions being a bit lifted in New York City, we've had also just increased amount of new brothers coming out and want to participate, and you know, and growing within that. You know, we had someone that was covering us for a newspaper article. He was a photographer, and he so fell in love with us. He's been running with us, I think, every Sunday since. You know, and that was like a month ago. So it's just like the, you know, the energy that we create has just been really fantastic, and you know, we're just aiming to continue that. And you know, I just have to say, you know, we're always proud to be part of this event. We've been with this since the beginning, and so yeah, just looking to grow within it and looking to grow everything.
And you know, I'm sure everyone can probably echo the experience of, you know, these Black running organizations, and you know, just to be clear, I don't classify Running Nerds as a Black running organization, but I am a Black leader. Therefore, tend to always get extremely supportive participation from the Black running community. But we can all probably attest to people kind of come into our organizations again, hey, you know, we want to support Black owned and Black this, and then, you know, like, we've been here, we've been doing this. This is nothing new for us. But my take on that has really just been, you know what, let's embrace it and ride the wave. And when some of that attention falls off, guess what? We still gonna be here. So, Devon, did you want to add anything on the New York scene to what Curtis said?
Just a little bit. I think Kurt hit a lot of it on the head. I think what's interesting is, I think after the restrictions started to get lifted in New York, I think that's when we really started to see more people come out. Once we got out of spring and the weather turned and people had been cooped up for a couple of months and they were really excited about going outside, I think that's when we really started to see more people come outside and pick up running if they had stopped. I think a number of people had slowed down, but then once the weather changes and the restrictions came off, then they came out, and a tremendous amount of people started cycling too.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same in a lot of your other cities. I know here in New York, cycling has definitely taken off and really popular. But it's good to see a lot more people get outside and get back to running, and just start to increase the mileage and start to socialize a little bit more, try to social distance as much as you can, but just try to connect and interact with people. I'll just add that I know here in New York, some of the bigger running organizations are trying to do races. I know I'll start with NYC Runs, which is a smaller one, but they've been doing a couple of runs, capping the number of runners and spreading out the start time. So they're easing their way back in. They've done a couple of runs past couple of months. I know New York Road Runners, which does the marathon, they just did a pilot race with this weekend with some of the local run clubs. So they're kind of testing the waters to see. So I think slowly but surely people are trying to get back into racing, just in a modified format. You know, it's just going to be difficult, especially for the bigger organizations, because New York is such a large city, and you know, we usually can draw, road runners will draw 8,000-10,000 people for a 4-miler. Yeah. So they're trying to figure out how to do it manageable. So they're trying to figure it out. I think it's an opportunity for some of the smaller running organizations to put things on and try to get their names out there and try to see what they can establish. So, you know, with any situation, there's always an opportunity, but it's just good to see everybody out more and being active. And we'll see how much that changes as fall comes and the weather kind of changes and gets a little colder. But right now, it's just good to see people out there being active more than when it started way back in March and April.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm sure, April and I'll talk a little bit about Atlanta, but a lot of what you said is paralleled here in Atlanta. With that said, April, why don't you go ahead and kick off kind of our Atlanta status? If you talk kind of from the group perspective, I'll talk more so from like the racing perspective. If you want, we can tag team on it.
Right. I think Black Girls Run has certainly been very active in trying to get back out on the pavement, but it has been difficult in some areas just because the group overall has I'm sorry, my 7-year-old. Yes, that's fine. Just walked in here. Yes.
7-year-old.
So I think that we have overall, I know it kind of hit hard when people couldn't go out initially. And I think Stone Mountain, even though you've seen a lot of news about it recently, I mean, people still go up there because it's the closest thing around, and people have really been discovering a lot of different trails and other parks they probably might not have known about or been to before. So I think initially when it hit, it was a difficult transition not to be able to just get out because you weren't really sure what was going on and, all the news media coverage. But I think as time has progressed and the national organization processes in place and waivers to kind of protect the organization, but also make people feel comfortable about coming out to group runs. Some of our group runs have just continued to stay on hiatus, but the ladies are still getting out active with like their smaller cohorts. But I know like my group that I run with, we still go out, and then a couple other groups have continued to meet up and go out, and just that sense of community has still been there in Atlanta. I mean, running I picked it up 5 years ago, and I never thought I would be here where I am today with running. So I think people have definitely gotten to a point where they really are just happy to be able to do things. And even with the race coming up, just a way, again, to connect to community in different ways. So, I mean, I think overall, even though some people, have kind of even newer folks coming in, they're like, how can I get involved? How can I get back running? Because as you said, people are at home now. Mm-hmm. So it's like I have time to go out and walk or, get into running or 5Ks, 10Ks or whatever, their personal goals are. So I think we're definitely connecting with folks and just, trying to find peace and still connect to community at the same time. So I think overall we're doing well. And cycling, I think you can't find a bike anywhere in Atlanta unless you want to pay $2,000 for one. But I think overall folks are really starting to see how important some things are and that some things weren't, before this all started. So yeah, like I said, overall we're good here. We're good.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that from the Atlanta perspective, I too have seen some hesitancy in people getting back to group runs. My group run that I lead, we started meeting again in June, and made it very, very clear to people like this is your comfort level. We absolutely and never really have had given anybody any shame for wanting to come out or not come out or whatever your comfort level is. I actually hosted an event last week on Wednesday night, just a group run. I kept the advertisement real low key because I was scared. I didn't want it to blow up and become like this huge event. But we had about 40 or 50 people came out, and it was great. It was a big, huge open space. People thanked me for having the event because they were a lot of people. That was their first group run event that they had participated in since March. I had a lot of my regulars that come to our Wednesday night group, but probably a handful, maybe say a third of those people, this was their first time coming out to a group run event, and they thanked me for creating a safe and comfortable environment where, you didn't feel like you were on top of people. We'll require people to wear masks when they're around and gathering. Even my route, they thanked me for the route, which I never get thank yous for my route, y'all. So that was really cool. And again, just in general with Atlanta, as far as our racing scene, there still have been no races in the city of Atlanta. There's been a few races on the outskirts and outside communities, trail races. And then, like I said, what I hosted kind of a group run meetup that you kind of promote on like Facebook or Instagram. It's not something that, you know, is being huge and widespread. And then, of course, you all know our big event, the Peachtree Road Race, which had been postponed to November, eventually had to convert to virtual. And I mean, I'm still to this day getting emails saying such and such race is gone virtual. I just got 2 this morning. So it's going to be a long way back for races. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm really proud of the Atlanta running community and active community and cycling community for being creative and finding ways to keep things going. And I think even some of those people that were hesitant about virtual experiences are starting to come around because they're seeing like it's either that or nothing, or sit at home and, you know, get diabetes, you know, so make your choice. All right. I don't know, Brenda. I don't know where that came from. So since you're laughing so hard, Brenda, why don't we shoot over to Little Rock?
Okay. I'll start with the National Black Marathoners Association. We had events set up for 2020, obviously, and for 2021. Everything has been pushed back. So our next event will be December with St. Jude of 2021. And then we'll start resuming 2022 with Cincinnati and our international race, Rio. So we have just moved everything back a year. So those were our activities this year. At the last minute, I did, for my birthday month, September, I asked people to donate to the National Black Marathoners Association. My birthday was September the 12th. I said I'm celebrating all year. I think not all year, sorry, all month. I think I started maybe September 9th or 10th, and so far we've raised $2,800. So my goal is at least by the end of September, get to $3,000. So I'll put one more push. I just posted on Saturday saying I'm running, donate $12 for the 12th. I'm 49 years old, run 4.9 miles. I know that kind of messes with MLT because it's not that round number 5. But run 4.9, donate 12. And like I said, we've raised $2,800 so far, and I'm excited about that. In terms of 501, our runners here from the very beginning of the pandemic really slowed down and stopped running. They then started to pick up around the middle of the summer, running with Sturban Smith, who is really over 501 Soul Runners. And he has been meeting on Sundays at his gym. They run a certain set distance, and then they started to pick up on Wednesdays. Again, socially distancing is your comfort level, and that is actually where we're going to do the race at. And so he wanted me to say that we wish we were there. Like, I know he wishes he was there. And the whole crew wishes they were at the race. And he has special shirts made for us that I need to pick up this week that says 501 and has the red and green and black colors similar to the race. So we will be out, we will represent. I'm gonna get my run in like the day before so I can be there at the beginning taking pictures. And at the end when people finish their 5K and when they finish the half, and post up big time.
Awesome.
Little Rock Marathon has started registration. It is moving slow. And I don't know how they're really gonna handle that. I just know registration has opened for the marathon and the half and all of our activities that we normally have in March, or at least the first week in March. So we will, we'll just see how that's going. So far, usually all my homies, friends, run buddies who sign up for the marathon have not yet. And I think it is just a comfort level that they haven't gotten to where they are comfortable with paying money and signing up for a race. And along with the fact our numbers are still kind of high here in Arkansas. So, we'll see how our races come. But so far, that's really the only real race that is still legitimately going, and people are pushing, or the race directors are pushing for people to sign up here in Arkansas. But we miss you guys. I know I do. So I'm just going to speak for everybody. I miss my running people. I miss seeing people. I miss people in. I'm a people person, except when I'm not. So,
Well, I think it is undeniable that we would much rather be on our way to Atlanta. I'd much rather be stressing out over the course being coned and paying these police officers and the expo and the weather and all that than, packet confirmation, shipping, and all that stuff. But here we are. And again, I can't thank you all enough for making this experience the best it can possibly be. But make no mistake, 2021, we getting back together. So, all right, let's shoot over to Baltimore. Issa, why don't you start off, and then Valencia, you kind of round out the Baltimore experience.
Be more. It's been a great year for Bro. We teach self-determination and being resourceful. So nothing's really changed for us. There is a divide of people who feel like you should have a mask and should be socially distancing. And then you have a whole group of people who are just like, free people govern themselves and are not interested in hearing mandates from anybody else outside of themselves. So, but it's been a great year for us. We created a holiday called Bro Day. I know everybody celebrates Global Running Day, but we want Black people to be self-determined and celebrate their own holiday. So we created a holiday this year called Bro Day, Black Runner Organization Day, and we encourage Black people to get together and organize people in the community to run. So it's been a great year. What else? We had a Centennial Power Run celebrating the 100th-year anniversary of the Pan-African flag. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been a great year for us, but the stakes are high because our people here are looking to us to translate the race experience virtually. So we're excited about that. But also, like Curtis said, a lot of people are, like he said, reintroducing themselves to wokeness. But on a deeper level, it's been pretty disgusting. So for example, in Baltimore, there's a lot of emerging run crews, but they're not organized. And there's an effort from Black runners to align themselves with non-Black people, especially white people, as opposed to organizing. So, that's been really disgusting. But on the positive side, we have the race coming up, and everybody who believes in the race and who wanted to be there the first, second year, they can participate in this way. And we've tripled our numbers, and I'm sure next year everybody who's on our roster will be making the trip to Atlanta if the race is open.
All right, Valencia.
Definitely echo what everyone else has said. It was really hard when the pandemic hit and Baltimore had a stay-at-home order, and we weren't, as a community, able to run together because of the stay-at-home order. So I think that it just brought this sense of all these different people coming out to do biking, hiking, out on the trails. And then finally, when things started to let up, you started to see all of the groups growing. I know I've been running with Riot for a while, and I've just seen the group grow exponentially since the order lifted. And it's just really good to see everyone out and being back together and running. We still obviously have groups that are not running together. Our BGR groups are not back running together yet, but behind the scenes, they're still running socially distanced in small groups. So it's good to see, even though they're not running with the group and having standing runs, that you still see the people out. You see their pictures. If you're out on the trail, you'll see them out there. And so it's comforting to still see your community getting together by any means necessary. And so I think that one of the things that a lot of us were looking forward to was the race. So we're really, really excited about next weekend and coming together, and whether that's virtually. Some people are planning to do it together. Some people are doing it virtually. It doesn't matter. We're all coming together on the same day for the same purpose and the same cause. And so we're really excited about that and to be supporting that.
Well, it's funny, just the last everybody's kind of hit on this a little bit. There's kind of two trains of thought of how we're talking about how our cities and groups are doing. Like, there's the group front side of things. Like I mentioned, my run crew didn't meet for 3 months, but I still ran every day. I actually have been running more than I ran prior to the pandemic, not this last couple weeks, but I mean, I've done my share of virtual challenges, virtual races, personal challenges that I just put together for myself. I've been posting, you know, my runs a lot more than I used to, just because, again, it keeps me motivated. So there's definitely a difference in the conversation about, you know, what is Black Girls Run as an example, encouraging, promoting, saying, hey, you can do this under this banner. What is Bro doing under our banner versus, you know, me and my crew, because we're runners at the end of the day, we're gonna run. Like when people say stay at home, I go out every day, you know, even if it's just stepping out my door to go for a run. I joke all the time that I didn't really take advantage of the quarantine because I was just as active and somehow ended up with just as much work to do. But, you know, we definitely have to be mindful as leaders how we encourage or even discourage people from, you know, getting out and being active. And as Issa said, you know, it's not our place to tell people whether they can do something or can't do something. At the end of the day, we're all adults, hopefully behaving as adults. But we do have to be very mindful of, you know, how we encourage or discourage as leaders and as creators of opportunities for gathering. So I just want to throw that out there, and I think all of us could probably touch on that a little bit, and have touched on that a little bit. All right, so we're going to go to Jatola, and then Matthew, you'll finish us out. Again, just kind of giving us a snapshot of how your community, your city has been running through 2020. Take you off mute, Jatola.
Okay, I think Houston pretty much mirrors what I've heard from the other cities. You know, first we were in complete shutdown. The diehard runners were running anyway. Now the small groups are kind of coming back together. A lot of bike riding, some of them riding on the sidewalk. You're likely to get run over by bikers. But the big groups, they're not there. And for Houston, our two big racing events are the Houston Half, which is usually in October, and that's gone to a definite virtual. And then the Houston Marathon, the Chevron Houston Marathon, that's in January. And I have not heard it officially, but the whisper in the running community is that that's also going to a virtual. So don't know what will happen there. You know, and like we said, you know, in terms of being leaders, we just have to encourage others to do what works for them, because as you said, we're all grown. We can't tell anybody what to do, but simply, you know, say, you know, hey, do what works for you. And that's going to be different for each person, because there's some people who, you know, they're acting like the pandemic just went away or it never happened. And then there's people who are exercising, you know, great care. And at the end of the day, that's a personal decision. So we're just hanging in there. As far as the Crimson team, you know, they're pretty much all over the world, all over the country, kind of mirroring the same things. They're running in small groups. Some people are running, some are not. And that's okay. No judgment, no shade. You know, what works for one may not work for another. But at the end of the day, we're all just keeping that positive hope that we'll turn the corner on this and we'll return to whatever that new normal will be for us, because I'm ready for that. I miss my friend. Hey, Brenda, I miss you.
Same here.
We'll do it. Before we go, we'll do a big hug at the end. All right, Matthew, you get to finish us out on this round robin here. Hold up. Hold up, you muted. There you go. Hold on. I'm trying to unmute you. Are you pushing at the same time? There you go.
No. Who muted me?
I muted everybody because we're getting some background.
Don't mute me. I won't take a lot of time because it's pretty much the same. You know, similar for us when the pandemic first hit, I was amazed at all the bike riders. Outside just exploded I found myself going on like the furthest end of the trails because the more, populated parts were just, I mean, you couldn't run. It was like everywhere. That's thinned off some, but I think one thing, if you can say a good thing about the pandemic, I think people are gathering in smaller groups here, at least in this area of North Carolina. They're still running. We ran today, and still a lot of people on the trail, socially distanced in small groups, 2, 3, 4. But pretty much outside of ultras in like the western part of our state where the mountains are, really no races whatsoever. I think there's been some 50 milers and some 100 milers. And of course, those races don't have a lot of people anyway, and they have an easier time of having, staggered starts. But, our mainstay races pretty much either canceled or have some virtual option going on. So, but Black Men Run here, we stopped running for a while, but then slowly came back with group runs with socially distanced, which, similar to Curtis, our numbers have increased. People are looking for something to do. So, we're running, but keeping it socially distanced, responsible, as our restrictions are loosening. We're currently in, we're supposed to be under like a 5-point system. We're at like 2.5. So our gyms just opened up about 2 weeks ago, but still movie theaters and bars aren't open. So restaurants can open at like 30% capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we kind of never stopped running. So that's where we are here, Raleigh-Durham area.
Awesome. So, my next question, and everybody doesn't have to contribute to the rest of these questions. Just if you got something to contribute, just kind of wave your hand, or I'll call on you. So what are some like common phrases, terms, things that you've heard from your community? And I'll give you a great example. I hear so often from my running friends, what we've been saying consistently is, man, I didn't realize how much I love being around people, like introverts, people who, maybe didn't come out to everything. Now they're just like, anytime something happens, like, so what are some of those kind of common things that you're starting to hear more that might either be surprising or it's like, okay, I told you so type stuff? Again, my example is just how many people have realized how much they actually do enjoy people and groups and being around folks. Does anybody have anything like that?
I was going to say, people didn't realize how much money they were spending on races and traveling. You're like, oh my goodness, this is like a lot of money that I've been spending on this stuff.
And therefore,
you got a raise almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully not too many lost registration fees, and more so saving on having to actually register for stuff. I know that's been my case.
Oh yeah, saving on registration. Yeah.
All right, anybody else?
I had a friend who never liked running with groups and always ran solo and preferred to run solo, and now they don't run at all by themselves anymore. Every chance she gets, she's hitting us up. Can I get a run with you guys today?
Yeah.
And it's completely changed. It's the complete opposite.
It's like if you didn't have it before, now you kind of crave it a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, and for my friends, I don't think we realize just how much we travel to races. Facebook memories reminds us. As Jotella was saying, I think I had several pop up in the past weeks of where I was at races with, Jet. So for us, especially my running friends from Atlanta, from Georgia, Philly, New York, Texas, wherever, Paris, I didn't realize, maybe other people realize, I didn't realize just how much I was traveling to races and how often I was seeing my friends, and just how that completely shut down. So many memories, almost every month, every other week of us, kind of getting together at some race or event.
Yeah.
So that's what we talk about a lot.
When you're in it, it just feels normal because, that's what we do. We travel to races. We have some on our calendar every single weekend, even if it's not a race, it might be just a training run for the next race. So when you're in it, that's your routine. And then when it's taken away from you, you really realize how much of a part of your life that became. So definitely. Any others before I go on to the next question?
Yeah, I definitely miss the races and being around other people. Our community is so insulated here. I miss being at races, seeing people represent their nation, seeing other cultures and things like that, and just that competitive edge. So, yeah, definitely miss racing with others.
Well, that's a great segment into the next question. So other than the race, what race is your community, your groups excited to have come back next year? What race are people talking about? Like, man, I can't wait. As soon as they open registration, it's on. We need it back. Whether it's a mega race or even a small community race. But other than the race, because we next weekend. But after that, what else?
I'll start with that. For us, it's actually, you know, a little similarly to what I was speaking on earlier. You know, we mostly maintain kind of like business as usual as just how we operate. So like, you know, 3 of our most anticipated races are just like races that represent other Black folks, you know? So not counting any race that we put on, it would be New York. It would definitely be like the Ted Corbett 15K, Percy Sutton 5K, and then there's this great community race out of East New York, like the East Brooklyn, East New York 5K that we always participate in. Like 2 years ago, we were just looking at speaking of memories, because it was just, it would have been last week. We were just looking at pictures from 2 years ago, and John Carlos, you know, from the '68 Olympics, that John Carlos, he was out of that East New York, East Brooklyn 5K race, and it was just the sheer pleasure to meet that brother and to just like talk to him and chat with him. You know, those are the kind of things that we miss. But I mean, that's the energy that kind of organization that puts on that race does. So it's just out there furthering what we do already. It's just like the races that represent who we are and what we believe in and the people that we believe in. Totally highly anticipated. And of course, New York City Marathon, that's kind of a given, just because it's New York City Marathon and we're in New York, and it's massive. So.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Curtis. Like I said, I talked to the ladies from the Start Line podcast out of the UK, and I was asking them if people were excited about the London Elite race, and they were like, "No, not really. Like, the race is for London. It's not for the elites." So, like, and again, this is just two people's opinion. I thought that maybe, you know, there'd be some kind of hype around the whole Bekele versus Kipchoge thing, but they were like, nah, people are just like, okay, no London Marathon next year.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Yeah, from the people I know in London, they don't, you know, they don't care about that either. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. But you know, I want to say that it's also the energy that you put into some of those races. And if you're, I don't want to say allowed to, like, you know, with us, like, we just going to take over whatever we want to take over, right? So, I mean, so even if you're not running New York City Marathon, for instance, you're just out there cheering for that is a lot of work and a lot of energy that we love putting out. So, absolutely. So it's also that, right? It's what you put into it.
All right. Any others, cities or group races that you guys are looking forward to?
I was gonna say, well, there are two races. One, and it's kind of funny, I've never been to Jamaica. I just got my passport 2 years ago. So when I was planning on going to the Reggae Marathon, then, you know, had to make the pivot. So I'm deferring to 2021. So I'm really looking forward to going to Jamaica next year. And one of my favorite 5K races here in Atlanta that started about 5 years ago is the Atlanta Mayor's 5K on the Fifth Runway. I always love that race. It's put on very well. And since it's on the airport runway, it's completely flat. So I can always get a lot of my friends to actually sign up to run the race. Because a lot of my friends that aren't runners, they're like, yeah, I'm good on that. But I'm like, it's completely flat. You can do this. So I'm looking forward to that race coming back.
Yes, for sure. All right. Any others?
I was holding out hope for Jamaica. I was holding on strong.
So they made,
and then that announcement came, and I was like,
they made an official decision.
Yeah.
No, that was tough. All right, that's it. Yeah, I could probably give you a whole list of races that I'm excited to see come back, including the Detroit Marathon, which was supposed to be my marathon this year, and I deferred because my thing with destination races, I don't want to do a virtual destination race. I want to go to that race and participate in it. And kudos to them and all the races that had to make that decision to cancel, especially these large races. Now, we're excited about the race growing to a large event, but in the grand scheme of things, we're still a very small event. So we had that opportunity to pivot with very little repercussions to our budget and the future of the race. But those big races, I don't admire having to make a decision for 10,000 plus people, 20,000, 40,000. Peachtree Road Race, of course, 60,000 plus people. But was grateful that that race gave us an opportunity to defer and have an opportunity to run it the way it's intended to be run. So all right, so my last question, and this will kind of close us out today. What are some tips that we can, or just words that we want to leave with our global Black running community on just how to keep this thing going, stay motivated, stay positive, and really just, again, run through this time. We definitely want to be mindful of the current state of the world. We don't want to overlook it by any means, but we want to continue to be a beacon of positivity for our communities. That's why we are leaders. That's why people look to us. That's why each one of you, I'm looking at you, you are able to galvanize hundreds of people to do something as tough and as not sexy as running, going out and running. So what kind of motivational words does everybody want to leave? And again, I'll just kind of go around. I'll start with Matthew this time and kind of go around the horn as I see you and give us your little final words to the people.
Don't stop, get it.
Very, very true to form. I would not expect anything less from you. If I had the technology and editing skills, I would just edit that song right into that. But y'all have to use your imaginations. Don't stop, get it. Quote Matthew Larry Thompson. Thank you.
Uncle Luke.
All right, Jatola. Hold on, still on mute. There you go.
There. Okay. Things will get better. They're bad now, but it won't last. Things will get better.
All right. Jatola, when you say stuff, I just believe you. So I'm believing it. All right.
I believe it.
Brother Issa, what you got for us?
Matthew said, don't stop, get it. So I'm going to say, don't stop, rock with it. But, realistically, we all are leaders. Our leadership here in Baltimore City is not really a feel-good time. The feel-good time comes after we put in the work. So I would say my message to the people is that we have a cultural responsibility to support the race. So I know the last question was outside of the race, but there's really no outside of the race. These are historic times. Black people have their own race. When we talk to people about the race, that's our opening line, that we have our own race now. So you don't have any excuse not to support. And with all of the energy and Black runners and Black run groups that I see on social media specifically, there should be 4 pages of people here. You understand what I'm saying? So my message to the people is Black power or Black powerlessness. Your behavior shows what your ideological and ancestral position is. Okay, so yes, every Black person has a responsibility to support the race, and every leader that's on here has a responsibility to inform Black people about the cultural responsibility of being here, putting your dollars, your cents, your energy, and your spirit into our own race. And I want to see it become a full marathon. Ashe.
He says that all the time, and it makes my soul shudder a little bit. But thank you, Issa.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Curtis.
I'm gonna borrow from BRO and say, let's grow.
Let's grow.
That's my message. Let's always believe in that.
Let's grow.
And promote that.
All right.
Nice. April. No, you got a good quote. April always coming with quotes.
I do love a good quote. I was really trying to sit here and think, like, what could what could I really say? I mean, you think about where people are. Just don't allow yourself to be, well, you know, it's funny. I do have a quote now that I just said that, you know, life, or when you look at yourself, right, you can be, what is it? Now it just left my mind just as quickly as I thought about it. When you think, the water that hardens the potato, softens the potato, hardens the egg. It's not about your circumstances, it's about what you're made of, right? So you look at everything that's going on, despite, you know, whether it be employment, whether it be, you know, health and fitness, like whatever, wherever you are on the spectrum of life right now, continue to push through. And that even though the community is not exactly where it was, you know, pre all these things that are going on, you know, you still have people that are out here willing to assist and help. Because like I said, we still have people that may kind of lurk on the page a little bit, afraid to ask people, don't want to hold people up, and feeling like they may be a burden. But it's never a burden, you know, to come out and look for assistance from someone in this community. We are here to support each other no matter what your circumstance is. So
Beautiful. All right, Devon.
You know, I think when you look at history of our people, to say we've been through a lot is an understatement, but we're still here, and we're still growing, and we're still achieving things that so many people who don't look like us think that we couldn't achieve, and that's not going to stop. So I think it's always try to stay optimistic and stay positive, show love to one another, and support each other. I think that's really a big thing. We talk about it all the time, but we really, really need to support each other emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. We have to take care of each other. Let's support all these different organizations. You know, let's support BRO. You know, let's support BMR and BGR and Running Nerds. Let's support all of these Black-owned organizations. Because we're all striving for the same thing. We want us to be healthy, and we want us to be successful, and we want people who look like us to be successful. So it's really all about just looking out for each other and taking care of each other, because, you know, America shows us what they think of us a lot of times. So we have to take care of ourselves, you know. So support the race. And, you know, Curtis, you know, when you guys get that race set up again in New York, you already know BRC is going to be there pushing and supporting. Yeah. That's what we do. So it's just all about support, 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 support. And we will be okay, and we will get to where we need to go. We'll get there quicker if we support each other, but we'll get there one way or another.
Amen. Love it. All right, Brenda.
One thing I'd like to tell the runners and our community is really just stick together during this time and join in with your respective organizations, whether it's a national organization, your city organization, BGR, you know, Black Men Run, you know, the Crimson Runners. Stick with your organizations, connect with them, and the support comes through them. You can see it here, you know, on the Zoom, and I see it every day when I'm on the respective pages. We support each other. When the runner was hit, you know, from the woman, everybody jumped in, like, where is she? Let's pass this information along. Does somebody know her? How do we help her? Does she need help? Does her mother need help? You know, that kind of thing. So we really, like Devin said, we really do need to support each other, and we do that by staying connected. So I truly encourage the runners to stay connected during this pandemic, during this COVID-19 era. And when the world opens up, you know, we can just snap right back in and hopefully, you know, bring others in, you know, as we meet back up again.
Thank you, Brenda. All right, MLT. Valencia, you get the last word, so be ready.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. What am I supposed to say?
Word. Wait, you already said my bad. You already went.
Yeah, I already.
The first one.
Yeah, I already.
Hold up. Break.
Say it again, Matthew. Don't stop. Get it.
Don't stop getting it.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. I was like, I'm not going to edit it out then. We need to hear that again. All right, Valencia, you get the last word. What you got for the people today?
All right, all right. I just want to say that we forget how much power we have and how resilient we are. And we need to continue to remember that and remember that the power lies within. And with that power, we strengthen that with the numbers and with the community. And then it goes beyond just running. It goes to strengthening our communities and building from within out. And so just continuing to support one another and be in this space where we own this power. Because we already have it, we just need to recognize that we own it.
Very good. All right, y'all. I think we all need snaps on that one. Let's give her some snaps on that one. Very nice. All right, y'all. Again, I just want to thank each one of you here today and all of our leaders who have been on calls throughout the year. And thank y'all. I look forward to these gatherings every month. I hope we will just continue it every month until, you know, we old and got to pass it on to the next generation, right? So I thank you. And again, for those of you who are watching this, this is definitely not a all-inclusive group of your running community leaders, but this is an amazing representation of people who care deeply about seeing Black runners grow, Black runners develop, and Black runners support each other. I can't thank you all enough for your support of the race. And remember, this is our race. This is a race that we can all be excited about every single year. My goal and our goal here, the founding partners and the team that produces the race here every year, our goal is that this becomes our world major. You know, let's support this one race. And this gives us an opportunity to support all of the local events, local groups, your efforts. Our mission to provide service and make an impact in our communities has been unwavering, and the support of the community globally is the way that we're gonna get there. So I thank y'all so much. I love y'all. Y'all amazing. I can't wait till we can see each other again and run in unity and love and just show the world what Black excellence looks like. But for now, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it all over in our respective neighborhoods. And show the world what the race is all about. You know, the one thing I said at the beginning, before we start recording, I'm sending out the participant email in a minute, and I said my goal is not to get a bunch of emails back with questions, but I love when people send me emails saying, wait, how did I miss this? What is this? I'm always happy to answer those questions. So you guys are ambassadors for the race, and we thank y'all and can't wait to get everybody back together again. So everybody wave goodbye to our beautiful people. And thank y'all so much.